And welcome to an ArchDaily interview. So let's talk a bit about the Exile Museum, your project here in Berlin. So it's located on one of the ruins of one of the most important train stations, what used to be an important train station in Europe. Can you give us a bit of context about the project and why do you think you won why you won the competition?
Well, first of all, AnhalterBahnhof was the largest train station in Europe before World War II, and it was almost like a mythical place where people come from all over the world to attend the Weimar Republic and everything that was happening around it. So the AnhalterBahnhof was built in the last century and was really an enormous construction. And then, as everybody know, during the World War II and with the expulsion after 1933, AnhalterBahnhof became also the backdrop of the propaganda from Hitler. He would kind of receive important people at AnhalterBahnhof, and later the deportation of especially Jews from AnhalterBahnhof, from a certain track in AnhalterBahnhof, and then of course everybody that was exiling Berlin, at least going south, they would enter into AnhalterBahnhof. So in that sense, it's a very, very loaded historical place, and what is left of it is only the fragment of the entrance building. It was blasted after the war when the wall came up. And the tracks was going through East Germany, so it kind of lost the importance, and you blasted the construction that was there, and leaving only this entrance building. So lots of history of Berlin and world history, I think, is in a way centered here at AnhalterBahnhof.
And why do you think you were the one to win this proposal?
Well, I hope it was because we had the best proposal, but I think it was considered the best proposal because it was not rebuilding the old train station, not trying to in a way reimagine or rebuilding the existing or former train station. So what we did, I think, which was only a few other of the proposals that was doing, was kind of withdrawing from the fragment, but at the same time, in a way, embracing it and relating to it and creating this interior exterior space that we kind of relate to as the time and the history and the in a way the open space that you also enter into when you enter into exile.
In your official statement, you declare that the new Exile Museum will breathe life to the stories of those driven into exile during the Second World War, while at the same time shedding light on the millions of people displaced from their homes today.
Yes.
How are you tackling displacement and migration through architecture? And in addition, how can a very contextual, let's say, intervention shed light on a bigger subject?
I think the subject of the expulsion and exiling after 1933 in itself contains all these stories of exile, and I think the situation today is not just from Germany, but is from all over the world, and I think the stories are exactly the same. So in that sense, I really hope that with the distance that we have in time from this history, we are actually able to see at the times today with a different light, because it's probably easier for people to relate to something that happened historically, and to understand and to make these stories come to life than relating to what's happening right now. But by doing that, you will understand that this is also what is happening now.
Well, talking about migration and movements of people, how can architects deal with migration? Where do you think the role of architect resides in all of this? Could he or she play a role that anticipates this flux and prepare the initial infrastructure, or is it more of his role as a problem solver that interferes at a later stage, I would say?
Well, I think that you can, in many ways, take part in creating an infrastructure that can ease the movements and ease the life of the people that are on the move. On the other hand, of course, it's a political infrastructure that is the most important thing. I mean, I come from a country that has exposed itself in a really bad way lately by refusing to take immigrants into the country and really being extremely, to me, wrong in the way we are starting to treat immigrants that are actually that is in need of help. So I think that is definitely a political thing. That's not something I can actually interfere with architecture. I can do it politically, but I think that we as architects can understand the problem of identity. I think, and how to create spaces around people on the move or people migrating. And I think that we could definitely use the energy and the power that we have, and the skills and the knowledge that we have to understand what is the needs and what is the. And I think the needs are not just functional. They're definitely also has very much to do with identity and has to do with understanding how you create spaces for people to, as Sumaya said, people to gather, and also to people to gather around something, which is different for different groups of people. So I think that's very practical, and it's very sort of hands-on, but it's also, I think, part of understanding architecture today is also to understand how to create identity and to create place wherever you are working, and it's not kind of a sentimental way of understanding identity and place as something that's regional or has to do with a certain expression, but it has to do with a much more basic understanding of how to make an identity and how to create identity into a place.
Let's talk a bit about the conference here today.
Yes.
So Berlin Questions is a conference for the immediate present. How do you perceive the new now, especially with the new challenges of COVID-19? And what are the problems that you think we should tackle first?
Well, I think that I think COVID-19 has definitely shed the light on dysfunctional regimes, I think, around the world, and it's been very obvious that if the political structures in a country is not working, they've not been able to handle COVID-19. On the other hand, it's also shown that you can have a global collaboration between countries, and actually very, very shortly, if not solving, controlling a huge pandemic. So if you could put that effort into climate change, I think that would be amazing. And I think that this is what the pandemic has shown us, is that we are actually able to do this. So climate change and poverty are two extremely important things that we need to solve. And I think, or you could say poverty and also what's the word in English? Inequality, and that is of course political. Climate change is in a way less political, but is still affecting unequally. So I think that is to me right now. I think let's put the effort into solving that, because that has devastating consequences, especially for the poor countries and for the. It has a disbalance. The effects of climate change is disbalanced, and I think that's something we need to solve as soon as we can.
Yeah, so around the world, cities are advocating for structural change and collective action. How do you think this can be achieved, and what can be or should be the trigger? Where's the role of architects in all of this?
I think the role of architects in this change is to make politicians aware. And I think that's very much a role that we used to have as architects, and we used to have a belief that we could interfere and we could change. And it seems like we've been kind of numb and very quiet lately. It seems like the realm of architecture has been much more about, in a way, accepting the powers of the markets and not in a way questioning or trying to interfere. And I think that's maybe it's about time.
So let me ask you this: how do you imagine the future of big cities?
Well, I do think that the big cities has a possibility of surviving, and I think in the end that big cities will continue to live. And I think that a lot of the big cities has really come to an edge where change has to happen, otherwise they will collapse. But the idea of people moving closer together, the population are getting more and more, so we need to somehow understand how to work with this density in a much more humane way.
So talking more now about your firm, well, you lead in cultural projects and educational projects, especially in Scandinavian countries and in harsh climates also. One, why do you think that is? And is it related to your approach? Can you tell us a bit more about your creative approach?
Well, our approach is always to try to understand place, or to understand the site, the context, the conditions around where we're going to work, and I think that's both in an emotional way, but also in a very sort of practical research based way. So we try to combine this understanding, which could be about the climate, it could be about sort of very technical issues, and on the other side something that's much more intuitive and emotional, and by combining these two kind of methods, we hope that we are able to create or underline the identity of a place, not in a kind of iconic way, but in a much more sort of rooted or anchored way, hopefully.
So finally, what is the project that you are really looking for to take shape?
Well, I'm looking very much forward to see the Exile Museum to take shape. Also, we just opened the museum in Greenland, in Ilulissat. I'm very excited about that. I haven't seen it because of COVID, so I haven't been able to get to Greenland. And then I'm looking very much forward also to the well, and to start working with the well. Right now, there's excavation going on the site, and afterwards we'll start working on the project. So right now I think we have wonderful projects going on, and I'm really excited.
Well, what do you consider to be your breakthrough project?
Well, I think probably the breakthrough project was the Wadden-Sea Center. I think that was where we got the chance of testing the way we work in an environment, but also with a client that was willing to go all the way. It's not that it was an expensive project, but it was a project with a client that actually understood where we were going. So I think that is a very boring thing to say, but I think that most architects need to get at least the chance to be able to show what they're able to do. I mean, if you're only working with projects where you are restrained all the time, it's really, really difficult. And so in that sense, I think, open competitions is or used to be a way of getting the chance. Today it's much more complicated, and it's sometimes you need a lot of luck to actually to get the chance to do projects like this. So
thank you, Dorte.
Thank you.